Hello everyone and welcome to a new After Effects expressions tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to create a global wind controller that is going to handle all of the animations of the plants that you can see here in the illustration. And as you can see, all the plants are moving independently and at different times with different speeds depending on the strength and the velocity of the wind. So let's get right into it. So I have here my illustration. This illustration is from FreePic. I haven't done it myself because I am not an illustrator. So I have here all of my illustrations separated by layers. The most important layers that I want to highlight here, that are going to be the layers that I'm going to animate, are the front plants that are these leaves that are here on the front, the middle plants that are those trees at the level of the house, and these background trees that are over there. Perfect. So the first thing that you need to do before working on this method is to have all of the plants separated. It's better to have like this. I have all my front plants in a pre-composition separated by layers, all of my middle plants on another composition, and all of my background plants in another composition. This is because I want to give each level of depth a different speed of the wind and a different direction. So having those plants separated on different pre-compositions is going to allow me to do that, to do exactly that. So for this tutorial I'm just going to animate the front plants, and then you are going to be able to apply the same method to the middle plants and the background plants. Before starting, I just want to tell you that all of the expressions will be available in the description. It's a documentation, it's a link, to my Gitbook documentation page, so you can just go to that page and copy and paste the expressions on your project. And in case that you want this project, you can download it. It's available for purchase for just $1, and that's a way for you to support me and to support the things that I do. So let's get right into the animation. So as I said before, I'm just going to animate the front leaf right here, and this is how we do it. So you can just apply the method to one leaf and then copy the effects and the expressions to the others. So I am just separated this leaf right here, so we are going to work with it. Let me just delete this layer so we can start from scratch. Right, so the first thing that you have to do is to create an adjustment layer, and maybe let's call it wind controller. You will see some errors right here. This is because these layers are with expressions that are calling to this layer, but this is going to solve afterwards. Don't worry about it. So let me just change the color, and then I have to create two controllers on these layers, on the layer of wind controller, The first is a slider control. I'm just using FX console to create it, but you can come here to effect, expression controls, and slider control, and this is going to be the wind speed. So I'm going to rename this slider to wind speed, and then I want to create another control, but this is going to be an angle control, just an angle control, and this is going to be the wind direction. Right, so all of the plants will be oriented towards the wind direction, and we will animate this value between -90 degrees and 90 degrees. I'm just going to leave it right here. And then what we have to do on all the plants is to make sure that you have the anchor point aligned to the middle bottom. You can align them by selecting the anchor point tool. I just have it right there, but if you move the anchor point and press Ctrl, it will align and it will snap to the corner or border that you want. In my case, if I have a lot of layers right here, this is not the optimal because I will have to move the anchor point by hand, but I have this tool, these motion tools, and I think that there is some tool that will allow you to move the anchor point of several layers at the same time, so you can look into that. Perfect. So it's time to apply the expressions. So once I have the anchor point aligned at the bottom, I have to apply the CC Bandit effect. Again, I'm using the FX Console plugin to apply the effect. Perfect. And what this is going to do is going to bend the layer, and here we are going to play with two parameters in order to create this animation. We are going to play with the bend parameter, and we're going to play with the rotation parameter. That's why we align the anchor point to the bottom, because if we have it on the middle, the plant will rotate on the middle, and that's not the optimal thing that we want to happen. So there's that. Great. So now that we have the CC Bandit effect applied, you will see that this will create a starting point and an ending point, that these 2 points are going to be the driver for the bend value here. So if I move them here, you will see that it will bend from this point. And we want these 2 points to be aligned, one at the bottom, the start point here, and the end point on the top of the plant. And you will see that if we move the plant, the points will not move with it. So what we are going to do here, we are going to apply an expression to the start point and an expression to the end point. I want to give you a little information about this, because the expressions are different if you have a vector layer than if you have a pixel layer. In this case, this layer is a vector because it's an Illustrator file, and I have the continuously rasterize option activated for all layers. If I deactivate this option, you will see that this will transform into a pixel layer. That's why we have 2 methods to apply to these 2 values. So depending on the kind of layer that you have, you will find in the documentation on the description the expressions that you will apply 2 different versions of that expressions. So here I'm going to apply, as this is a vector layer, I'm going to apply the vector expressions right here. So what you want to do is to come to the CC Bandit effect, to the start point, and just alt click on the start point, and here you will paste the expression of the start, and you will do the same for the end point. You will paste the corresponding expression depending on your layer kind. Alright, so I have these 2 expressions already here, and what they do is basically they set the starting point at the same point of the anchor point on the layer. So it's on the transform position here, and the end point on the same position minus the height divided by 2 of the composition. So if I move this layer, you will see that these 2 points are going to follow the layer itself. Now I'm going to show you how you have to do if you have, instead of a vector layer, you have a pixel layer. So let me just delete these expressions right here, and then I'm going to convert this to a pixel layer, and we will have a problem here, because you will see that if we bend the image, the leaf will cut on the borders, and this we are going to solve it with another effect that it's called grow bands, and you have to make sure to apply this effect above the bending effect. And what this is going to do is basically to extend the borders of the layer. We are going to extend them maybe by 50, or maybe more like 150, just like that. And if we bend the plant, we'll see that it is bending accordingly and not cropping at all. And now you have to paste the expressions for the pixel layers. I'm just going to paste them Alright, perfect. So I have my two expressions right here. They work pretty similar to the others, but they are using the layer size to position the start and the end point. This is because the layers that are vectors versus the layers that are images or pixels, they have like different values on the layer dimensions, on the layer space, regarding of what type they are. So as you can see here, the bandit effect is positioned properly, and we can move the layer and the bandit effect will move with it. So again, I'm just working here with the vector layer, so I'm just going to reverse everything that I did here, but remember that if you have images instead of vectors, you have to apply the grow bands and these two expressions. Great. So now that I have my expressions applied on the start and the end point, I just want to give the bend property the animation that is going to give the effect of the wind. This is, again, you have to alt click on bend and paste the expression that the expression is the same regarding of if you have a layer that it's an image or a layer that it's a vector. Okay, so I have here my layer, and you will see that the leaf is not moving right now because the wind speed is set at 0. So I'm just going to set it at 10, and you will see that this layer will begin animating. And if I increase the speed, it will move faster and it will move even more on the angle itself. So I'm just going to leave it at 10. Perfect. Okay, so what this expression does is basically get the value of the slider on the wind speed, and based on that we are going to use a sine method to animate it, using the wind speed as a value for the frequency and also as a value for the amplitude of the movement itself. And this index by pose variable that you can see right here is just going to be like the handler of the offset of the time on each leaf. So for example, if this leaf is positioned over here on the left of the composition, it will begin animating earlier than if it is here on the right. So all of the leaf here on the left will animate at different times than here on the right. This is because this index by pose is handled by the position of the layer itself. So now we are going to apply the last expression that is going to be on the rotation. So just open the rotation property and alt click and paste the rotation expression. Alright, so this expression is pretty similar to the bend expression, but what this is going to do, here we are adding the wind direction. So if the wind is coming from this side, right, the leaf will lean towards the right because the wind is coming from the left, is pushing to the right. So it will rotate the leaf to the right. But if the wind is coming from the right, it will come from the right to the left, is going to push to the left, so the leaf itself will move to the left, will lean to the left. And then we are just adding the sine rotation, that is just a sine animation as we had right here, and it's going to give this a nice rotation and bending animation. So you will see that if I move this layer, the bending and the rotation is going to be changing. That's because the index by pose layer, the index by pose variable right here. So now all that we have to do is just right click on the rotation property, copy expression only, and paste, select all of the other leaf and just hit Ctrl B, and it will paste the expression. And another thing we have to do is just to select the bended effect and copy it and paste it on all of the other layers. So if I do activate all of this leaf right here, let me just hide this one, or maybe just move it like right there, right here. Alright, so if I do move this, you will see that all of the leaf, let me just put this on third, all of the leaf are moving at the different times. Now, you can also animate the wind direction to get like maybe more realistic animations, so that's what we are going to do right now. Just hit the stopwatch and press U on with the wind controller selected, and maybe move it. Remember that you have to animate it between -90 and 90 degrees, because beyond those two values it won't work properly. So maybe just right here, the wind is moving a little bit, and just like that. I'm just going to ease these keyframes with F9, and as you can see here, all of the layers will respond to the changes. You can see here we have like a burst, like a wind coming very fast, changing of direction, so all of the leaf will move faster with a stronger rotation, just like that. And this is a pretty realistic animation, and as you can see, you can control the direction and all of the layers will change. You don't have to animate them by hand. You cannot animate the wind speed because the sine method won't work properly, and if you change this value, if you keyframe this value, it will make weird things with the velocity. So I just recommend having this as a fixed value. Maybe we can try 15, and the leaf will move even faster, just like that. Alright, great. So for the middle and the background plants, the method is the same. Just remember to align the anchor point to the bottom, create the solid with the two expression controls, apply the effects, the CC Bandit effect and the expressions, and you are ready to go. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. I hope this was of help to you, and if you have any doubt, please don't hesitate to put it on the comments. Remember that on the description you will find the link to the documentation of the code, so you can just go copy and paste the code into your projects, and if you want you can go and purchase the project on my Gumroad page, and you will support me to make more tutorials like this. So thanks for watching, and I see you on the next tutorial.